Alright, we have here a simple review of a website that will help you in your research project topic. Now, either this week or next week, each of you in your classes will have the opportunity to go to the Media Center and talk to or learn from a librarian on how to use some of the research technology that we have. The point of this simple demonstration is to help you think of another way you can gain some information on your research topic. So we're going to show you a site that is a very helpful site and just to learn how to do some research. So we are going to type in Science Buddies at Google. I've done that before, so you see there, Science Buddies. Now you look here, Science Buddies talks about science fair projects. Don't be alarmed. This isn't about a science fair. This is about research, and this is a very helpful site for that. So here it says hands-on science resources for home and school. Now several times it's going to try and have you find a project with this topic selection wizard tool. We will come back to this. I just want to show you the same page will ask the same thing to get ideas. Before we start that, I want to bring you over to this project guide. And you've seen this several times in your life, but right here there's a topic about the scientific method. So we're going to click on the scientific method here. We're not going to do the key info. We're going to do an overview of the scientific method because we've talked about this before. But just to review and remind you here, we have this little chart. It talks about, this is the scientific method. It talks about how a scientist, and hopefully you can start to think this way too, a scientist asks a question. They start out with a question or an idea. They want to know how something works. And before they just have a question, they know they've got to do some research to find out more about this. So they do background research. And for most research projects, and for what we're trying to do in class, these are the two questions. These are the two steps we really want to talk about, because the rest of this is when you have a project, a science experiment that you're trying to find the rest of the answer to. So a lot of things have been researched, but let's just say you found a question and you did some background research and you found another thing that you didn't have an answer to and you couldn't find an answer to. This is where the scientific process works, where they construct a hypothesis and then they test the experiment, and they do that by a certain number of procedures. In the lab usually, anymore, but in the past there are a lot of ways they've done that. So we're just going to go down here in the page and it says ask a question. The scientific method starts when you ask a question about something you observe. How, what, when, who, which, why, or where. So let's come over here and click on your question. And this is actually where I want you to focus right here. It's going to take us right back to this wizard. Here it says, okay, what about the topic wizard? You have the science fair project ideas. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click on this topic wizard. And they have some questions for us. And I filled this out before, but we're just going to review it. So your science project is due in 3 weeks. So 2 to 4 weeks is enough time to do the whole project, not just the research part of it. Grade level 8, we're going to focus on the life sciences. And then it asks about your reading level, and you're just going to say just starting, because you don't want to get stuck in the minutia of some of this science stuff. Okay. So we're going to click continue. And then I've already answered this question, but this is my favorite part of this whole site. You get to answer some questions about the things you like, or the things you like to think about or do. And after you go through this questionnaire, down at the bottom, it asks you to make recommendations. And once it says the recommendations, you have now a list of several topics. The tree of life topic talked about genetics. Scroll down here, you're talking about detergents. Several options that you can think about in a matter of degrees in the earth. Okay. We're going to go to the next page where I'm going to show you a little bit more. So here are some choices. Alright, so here we have water, house water usage. So we're going to click on it. Let's say I want to think about how I use water. This gives you a little summary. An abstract is a summary of some research here. This asks a lot of questions about how you use water. Click here and it gives you some resources. If we go over here to learn more, now you have a couple more resources. It kind of broadens your choice. You can click on these and learn more. So this is a great resource to really give you an idea of how to start your project. Again, this is Science Buddies, and it is an awesome resource.